Welcome to this edition of Tech Trends. The COVID pandemic has destroyed the world in unbelievable ways, and one sector that has been greatly affected is education. My guest is a senior lecturer at the Lagos Business School who doubles as a virtual reality advocate. He joins me to share his thoughts on how to make the most of this technology, particularly for education. That's on the interview segment. We'll kick off the show with some tech news and updates. This is Tech Trends, and I'm Chukwemeka Agbata.
The key to making things affordable is design and technology improvements, as well as skill.
A team of schoolgirls in Lagos have built a fundraising application called Hands Out to help less privileged children go to school.
So to start the app, it says touch the hand to reach out. So you just touch the hand, like the circle in the hand, and then the thing reaches out. So next thing, partner statistics and requests aren't working yet because like our partners and NGOs that we're working with aren't registered yet. But as soon as they register, all these will be working and they aren't activated also. But for now, the main thing is donate. So you click on donate and you click on if you want to donate clothing items, funds, school bag, textbooks, hospital bills, or school fees.
This is the designing interface. This is the user interface of our app where we designed the home screen and the colors, the logo, where we input the buttons and everything else.
The girls between the ages of 10 and 11 call themselves the Brain Squad. According to UNICEF, even though primary education is officially free and compulsory, over 10 million of the country's children within the ages of 5 to 14 years are not in school. This was an inspiration for the girls.
When we created this app, we were thinking of the Itafadi's kids which their school collapsed, and the story of success Adago that she deserved to be beaten rather than sent out of school, and her story became a success, and we want other children to also have the same opportunity that she has right now.
But what does the app do?
Our app, when you go into our app, you can pay children's school fees, pay their hospital bills, donate stationery, school shoes, school bags, school textbooks for the children. When people donate these things through our app, it makes them feel like they matter and their future is bright.
But it wasn't a smooth journey for the girls, and they tell us what it was like for them.
One of the challenges we faced while creating this app was that before we used an app called Scratch to create mini games, but then when we decided to create this app called Hands Out, we had to use MIT App Inventor. And although they are similar apps, they still have different functions. Like for instance, in MIT App Inventor, you have your list speaker, you have your buttons. Where you put for each button, there is a coding behind it. So for every button you put, you have to code with your blocks. And we had to learn this. Also, we didn't have enough time because we also had to sacrifice some of our schoolwork time to focus on the app.
Their proprietress says getting to that point wasn't easy, but it was a journey worthwhile.
When the idea was mooted that they should actually take part in this competition, I don't think they had an idea of how much work they had to put in. When they found out, it was a challenge because they found themselves missing out on things that other classmates were doing. And so every step of the way we negotiated extra time. And it got to a point then when they found out that, the success of actually achieving something superseded the effort, and so it got a lot easier. But I think for them, they have done very well. It's made them extremely confident about their own abilities. And I think that in the future, taking on new challenges will not be such a difficult thing for them to do. Also, it helped them to define the kind of career path that they want to pursue in future. Because what they have seen is that at the end of the day, technology is at the bedrock of most careers, and so they're already defining their tomorrow with technology in mind, and I think that is a very positive thing for 10 and 11-year-old children.
Brain Squad is partnering with other organizations to open a trust to handle all cash donations and are looking to partner with more people to assist with logistics of non-cash donations to designated communities. For the girls, this is part of their contribution to solving some of the pressing problems faced in communities. Hands Out is a hub for children by children, where donors' funds can be directed to the children who need it using charities.
A team of high school girls in Afghanistan's western city of Herat have built a prototype ventilator that they hope will be used in hospitals to help COVID-19 patients breathe easier amid the pandemic. It took around 3 months for 18-year-old Sumaya Faruqi and 6 other teammates of the Afghan girls' robotic team to construct the machine from available materials. It is mostly based on a design from a portable ventilator developed by the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT. Faruqi, who's the team captain, says she hopes the team's invention will solve the country's dire shortage of ventilators.
Most patients with coronavirus die because they cannot breathe. That's why we decided to build a ventilator in Afghanistan, because the number of these machines is extremely low. We hope that by building this machine, we will be able to use it in hospitals.
According to Afghanistan's health ministry, the country currently only has around 800 ventilators in total, all imported from abroad. As schools in Herat have remained shut since April due to lockdown measures taken to prevent the spread of COVID-19, Faruqi and her teammates were afforded extra time to work on their projects. They had extra help from experts at institutions such as Harvard University. The project was funded and facilitated by the Digital Citizen Fund, a non-profit which has founded several digital literacy projects across the country. The final design of the ventilator prototype has been unveiled but still needs to undergo testing before it can be put to use. A health ministry spokesman said once the ventilators were approved, they will be rolled out in Afghan hospitals and the design shared with the World Health Organization.
The Afghan girls' robotic team and some others in Herat province have built some ventilators, and we're in the process of evaluating the quality of their devices. The machines must be tested on humans, and then we'll be able to use them in hospitals. We appreciate their work.
Faruqi and her team have also developed a remote control UVC robot for disinfecting indoor surfaces. Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador has showed off 2 locally made ventilator models as the country struggles to get a handle on the coronavirus pandemic.
We're able to produce a ventilator with Mexican technology, a ventilator first made in Mexico, which will mean being self-sufficient in this type of equipment, which is basic and fundamental.
The ventilators were designed and manufactured by the government's National Science and Technology Council, along with assistance from academic institutions and private companies. The council plans to manufacture 1,000 of the ventilators for use in hospitals across the nation and says the cost to produce the machines is lower than purchasing similar models internationally.
No teníamos estos equipos.
Thanks to international solidarity, we're able to obtain ventilators in the most difficult moments. And now, we have similar equipment that is made in Mexico. Work done by researchers and scientists at the Mexican National Science and Technology Council, in cooperation with other researchers in the country and also national and foreign companies which are helping and joining us and have made it possible for us to have this equipment and not to have a shortage of them in hospitals.
President Lopez Obrador has said the pandemic is losing intensity in Mexico and blamed what he called the conservative media for raising alarm. The government has said the real number of infected people is likely significantly higher than the confirmed cases. Tech tips on avoiding mistakes that could shorten the lifespan of your phone. It's quite hard to imagine life without a mobile phone, and that could happen often if our devices begin to act up. It could be frustrating, but sometimes we have ourselves to blame. Here are ways to handle your device properly. Recharge your battery often. To increase the battery life of your phone, it's advisable to recharge it as often as it drains. This will help increase the number of discharge cycles. However, this doesn't mean that you can constantly keep your phone on charging. You need to let the battery drop on its own to extend the life of your battery. Be wary of ultra-fast chargers. Sometimes you might want to charge your phone quickly and go for chargers that can help do that. But it's been advised that using chargers that claim to charge your battery fully in less time should be avoided. But if you want to do so, ensure you check with your manufacturer first. Avoid high temperatures. High temperatures are bad for lithium-ion batteries. They can't stand overheating, which is why you should never expose your device to sunlight or put them near heat sources. Clean the ports and wipe the display. We know that phones can get pretty dirty over time and harbor bacteria, so to clean them up, it is advised to use lint-free wipers. Ensure there is no liquid near your phone's ports and never spray liquid directly onto your phone. Also try to avoid using household cleaners as they contain ammonia which can damage the screen irrevocably. Avoid software updates. Before hitting the update button, it is advised that you read user reviews. While the technologies are constantly developing, your hardware stays the same and might cause a problem. Use cloud storage. Even if you have a lot of free space on your hard drive, it's better to use cloud storage anyway. This way, your phone won't be clogged with too much data, making it perform much better.
Next is my chat with Eugene Ohu, Senior Lecturer at the Lagos Business School. Stay with us. Eugene, glad to have you on the show today.
Thank you very much, CSA, for inviting me.
All right, so let's start with the basics. What is virtual reality?
Well, virtual reality is a computer-generated 360-degree depiction of an environment or a reality. You know, by putting on a head-mounted display like this, which has lenses, the viewer can interact with virtual objects and environment, can change things. So it's a virtual environment, completely computer-generated, and it has applications for different things, entertainment, training. If you like, another way people like to see virtual reality is experience on demand. So you can create experiences and share experiences that would otherwise be impossible. So in a nutshell, that's what I think it is, you know.
Yeah, but just for letting people understand more, what is the difference between virtual reality and augmented reality? Any difference?
Yes, there's a difference. There's a short answer and a long one. The short answer is virtual reality is totally computer generated. Just imagine yourself getting into a movie, like the movie Avatar. You are the avatar, totally computer generated. Augmented reality is virtual put on top of real things. I'll give an example. In virtual reality, the environment and experience is entirely virtual. The user is immersed in a location that you can say doesn't exist in real life because it's computer generated. But in augmented reality, a digital item like a phone, a digital item like, if you like, an avatar, like a virtual item, is overlaid onto a real environment. An example is a phenomenon that we all experienced some years ago. Remember the Pokemon Go? So where kids and adults were scouring all over the neighborhood looking for virtual objects. But they were finding these virtual objects in real environment. So you have your phone with a camera, there's a virtual object there, but it's overlaid over a reality. So that's augmented reality. That's augmented reality. Another example would be something that Google is using now on Google Maps in some locations, where you have virtual depictions of a location embedded or overlaid rather on the real thing where you're moving along the street. Okay, so augmented reality is having as many applications also now as virtual reality. One thing that I like to say is that virtual reality makes impossible things to be possible. It takes away the constraints of travel and mobility. You can reach many people. Let's focus a bit on education. Education, you can do impossible things. Virtual reality makes dangerous things safe. When we were doing chemistry in school, there were some reagents, some chemicals we were told were not to be mixed. Don't put water in HCl, don't put HCl in water. And then they will tell you in theory, if you do that, there'll be an explosion. So you don't do it. But in VR, you can do it. What's the worst thing that will happen? You restart the application, right? So in that sense, mistake in virtual reality, using virtual reality to teach, mistakes are cheap. Mistakes become learning opportunities. You can even think of biology experiments, since we're still talking about education. I mean, nowadays people are concerned about the rights of animals, that and at the end of a movie, you see things like no animal was killed in this movie. Well, in virtual reality, you can do dissection, because one aspect of education is experiential education, exemplified by experiments, touching things so that you can understand the theory. Take it beyond secondary school education, go to other types of learning. In virtual reality, you can use it to train surgeons, for example, people who have to develop different complicated skills. You can use it for simulations. It's been used for pilot training. You can use it to train the military, for example. So anything that requires simulation, you don't have to wait to get into the real thing. It's being used, for example, to train firefighters and so on. So entertainment, education, you name it.
Yeah, but let me ask you, do you think that the policy side is also important to catch up, or it doesn't mean this should run and the policy should catch up later?
You see, I mean, you are in the startup area. I'm sure you realize that if you wait for policy to catch up, you will not have done the things you have done. So that's one fantastic thing about the private sector, individual initiatives. I think you just ignore policy. Just ignore policy, do what you have to do, because technology has democratized all of these things. The access to the technology, all you need is the knowledge of it. I mean, I've told you, for example, this cardboard with 2,000 naira, 4,000 naira, somebody can build it here. So nothing therefore differentiates us from the more developed countries. So ignore policy, keep doing what you have to do, and then policy will catch up, which is what it's doing, what is happening now, right? With the internet developed before policy caught up to start regulating, to start adopting. So yeah, I think we just go the world is not waiting, and we don't want to wait.
So in your opinion,
yeah.
So in your opinion, looking at all other forms of new technologies, how big a bet are you placing on VR?
I love my life, so I won't bet my life, but I'll bet I would bet everything. I'll bet everything. Now, and then you don't even need somebody as poor as me to say that. The rich people are betting for almost everything, but a lot on VR. Why? For instance, before even going further, one of the things, I will come to your question about how much I will bet. We talk about some other applications of VR that is very exciting. In medicine, not just in training. Because of this immersive nature of VR, the ability to create new experiences, is being used, for instance, in psychotherapy, treating, for instance, soldiers who have returned from Boko Haram. By the way, this is one of my dreams. Someone has to take care of our soldiers who have come back from battle, and then many of them have post-traumatic stress disorder.
But what would you say to those who argue that one, it is expensive, and two, there are risks around, the whole VR technology?
Right. To those that say it is expensive, I will show them the cardboard. I would introduce them to that young man in Badagry who is making his own cardboard to teach his primary school pupils on his own. I will show them that with 1,000 naira and with a phone, that guy is giving them a virtual reality experience, taking them to places in other parts of the world through that arm that they would not have seen. About the safety, there are safety concerns. For instance, one of the things you want to avoid in using virtual reality is motion sickness. There used to be a lot of motion sickness before, but VR is so refined now. So some content producers that realize that the movement, the different experiences, the so-called vestibular movement that can cause those disruptions, when they notice that, they advise you that this particular one, you have to do it sitting down. So that has improved. You find makers like HTC Vive or Oculus saying that the minimum age should be 13 years, okay? But also, VR has also developed in the sense that when you're in a virtual reality environment, there's a so-called guardian that virtually it creates a boundary around you. I would like to see a greater deployment of VR in teaching. If VR will have this impact on character development, what effect might it have in learning behavior modifications in general? For example, I particularly want to see it deployed as a complementary learning resource in the trainings at the Lagos Business School.
Interesting. Congratulations again. We wish you all the best. I assure you that as soon as the lockdown eases out and the measures eases out, we'll certainly visit to see what you're doing and also to support the progress. Yes. Thank you for being on the show today, Eugene.
Thank you, CFA. Thank you for inviting me. Thanks a lot, sir.
All right. Cheers, eh? My guest has been Eugene Ohu, senior lecturer at the Lagos Business School, who clearly believes that virtual reality technology can indeed transform a lot of sectors. I particularly like the fact that they are trying to teach children empathy and other skills using VR. If all goes well as the team plans, this will be a classic case of tech for good. One thing I can assure you is that we would follow the progress of the team in the days and months ahead and share with you, our viewers. We've come to the end of the show, but it doesn't end here. The conversation continues online. We are Tech Trends TV on social media. Also watch the entire show on the Channels TV YouTube page or via cfablog.ng. For Tech Trends, I'm Chukwemeka Agbata.